Hi everyone. Um, I actually decided to sit down and make a video a little bit about what has happened to me over the last almost 8 years. Um, Going from having gastric bypass um, to being really ill to initially having a takedown actually 1 year ago today. So, um, a lot of us make the decision to have gastric bypass for a lot of different reasons. Um, Mine was due to the fact I was a young mom, and a lot of people in my family struggle with obesity, and I was on the verge of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, all the things that go with being overweight. My weight being 262 pounds the day of my surgery. 2006, I went in. I had my gastric bypass. Did very well. Went home the next day, recovered. Not really any complications. Labs looked good. You know, for a few years, I was doing really well. 2010, I started getting some symptoms of, just feeling really ran down, not feeling too good. Um, had just had my labs checked not that long ago. Everything looked well. Went back to the doctors and found out that my iron was at, I think, about a 5. So I started seeing a hemo doctor on base here and went ahead and started infusions right away. So over the next 2.5 years, infusions pretty much every 6 months. Then I started noticing when they were tracking my iron, 3 months later I had to go and have another infusion. My iron seemed to be dropping more and more. Now, granted, I took my vitamins religiously every single day. I wasn't one of those people. I followed the rules. I did what I was supposed to. So, it had to be 2013 now, and started getting really sick. Thought maybe I had like the flu or something. Couldn't really hold much down as far as not vomiting. It was coming out the other end every time I ate. So I had my infusion. Didn't make me feel any better. By the end of that week, I was admitted into the hospital. Um, on base, the doctors, they do not whatsoever know how to handle gastric bypass patients when you start having severe symptoms, as far as I was. I was trying to explain to them every time I ate, I would get lightheaded. Every time I ate, I was in the bathroom. I had pretty much stabilized out at about 140 pounds over the years, and all of a sudden weight just started dropping off of me again. So at this time they're like, okay, well, you got dumping syndrome. And I'm like, how do I have dumping syndrome? I'm not eating anything bad. Well, yeah, a couple days ago you had an ice cream cone, so all of a sudden, I got dumping syndrome. Okay, so they give me some shots to put in the belly to keep my belly fuller and sent me on my way, sent me home. Months of going to the ER almost once a week at least, and numerous doctor's appointments. I was pretty much told by the bariatric on base, there is absolutely no way I will reverse you. You're going to have to live with the dumping. I figured out from seeing a great endo doctor actually on base that my blood sugars, what was happening is every time I was eating, I was dumping, and then my sugars were shooting low enough where I passed out once. And by this time, my diet had pretty much went to lettuce, olives, and chicken or turkey, sliced lunch meat, and I steadily started losing more and more weight. I had to go through a whole big spew. I called several doctors. One doctor I faxed all my information to told me right out, If you don't get a reverse, you're going to die. By this time, 2 weeks later, I was in with another iron infusion, and all my other levels looked good, but the way the weight was dropping off again, and the fact that I was sick nonstop, there wasn't really anything left. I knew I had to fight. So at that point, we were stationed in Northern California. I told my husband I have to get back to my original bariatric. I had to fight the base clinic. They did not want to give me acceptance to go back to my original bariatric. Finally, I got it wiggled through insurance to get back down to him. Now, granted, this is like almost an 8-hour drive for one trip. Went down, seen him, told him what was happening, and what do you think the first thing I got was? Well, that's the weight area you're in. That's a healthy number for you. So, the weight looks really good. I think we should just put a lap band on top of you, because I don't really see it being a good idea to reverse you. You might gain all your weight back. Now, granted, my bariatric has been doing this 40 years, and very wise man, very, very smart, but when he said that hurt, because I literally, every day I woke up, I thought it was going to be my last day. So I went home, tried some medicines he gave me to try, wasn't working. 2 weeks later, was back down there. At that point, I had pretty much had it. I told him I wasn't comfortable with doing the band over the pouch, just from what I had looked online. And granted, I researched. Every day being homesick, that's what I did. I researched the best way to take care of myself, because I knew nobody else was going to help me with this besides having the support of my family and, friends, and of course my husband. So by the time I went down there the third time, I pretty much looked at my bariatric and I told him, I want the reverse. Can you do the reverse, or can you not do the reverse? And of course he said, yeah, wasn't really something he wanted to do. I took all my research with me, and he looked over the stuff and he was like, you know what? He's like, if that's what you want to do, we will get it scheduled. And I just remember hugging him and thinking, my life is going to change. Either this is going to fix this, or, going over the complication risk with him, I knew there was a chance that I may not even wake up off of that table. But in my heart, I knew with all of his experience, even though he had never done a takedown before, that I was in really, really good hands. So when I hugged him, I was thanking him with tears, and I remember him saying to me, I have never had a patient come with so much information and fight for herself the way you did. Now, mindless to say, he was still preaching at me about gaining weight back and becoming fat after the surgery. At that point, I told him, I don't care if I'm 250 pounds. I would rather be fat and healthy than be dead. So I ended up having 2 surgeries, or 2 surgeons actually work on me, him and another surgeon. Got my gastric takedown, or reverse, done. And the next day was shipped out of the hospital. They did a UGI, had a little bit of gas, looked fine, sent me home. Now, complications from that surgery. A couple months later, had a lot of side pain, went in. Apparently, when the bariatric doctor was in there doing the takedown, he nicked my liver, which caused an eye fart, which is like a blood clot bursting in your liver. But after a couple CT scans, they had seen it localized, so it hadn't spread or anything. It wasn't nothing serious. Did good for a couple months, besides like when I ate, I had my stomach back, but when I ate, things would come back up. Found out now that my stomach, normal people, it takes 8 hours or 4 hours to digest. My stomach takes about 8 hours, so I still eat little portion meals. I have delayed emptying in my stomach, but guess what? Low blood sugars went away. Dumping went away. Anemia went away. I have been still seeing my hemo doctor. every 3 months for the first year. Now I go every 6 months. No infusions. Vitamins, all back where they need to be. I guess back in a couple months later, started having side pain, getting sick again every time I ate. Discovered it was my gallbladder. Had to fight for that too, but got that taken out on base. So I had the gallbladder out at the end of July. The way that the surgeon explained it to me was basically the up and down with the weight loss. When I went in to have my gastric bypass takedown, I was sitting at 120 pounds. I looked pretty disgusting in my book. My wrists were the size of twigs. I remember standing in the mirror and crying because I was so skinny that I just couldn't even stand to look at myself. So after that, gallbladder's out. Got a lot of scar tissue, so still kind of have pains here and there. But I am so glad that I fought for myself. My husband supported me, and I ultimately was not going to take no for an answer when it came down to it. With lots of prayers, you know, I wouldn't suggest going to any doctor to try to get a reverse. Make sure you go to somebody that has either been doing, you know, these surgeries for 30 years, 20 years, or somebody that has experience with takedowns. Because don't take it lightly. It's not really something that, you know, it's major surgery to put you back together. And my stomach will probably never ever work 100%, but to not have the symptoms I had before, my weight has stabilized back out. I like to try to stay around 140 pounds. That's a good weight for me. It's a lot of effort, but you know what? I'm a year out, and yeah, I did gain that 20 pounds back from where I was at when I was so sick, but that's okay because this is where I need to be for my body. I don't need to be 120 pounds for my body. So basically, I'm putting this out there because I know the good stories. I know the good side of it. I know the bad side of it. I know people that have died. And I know there's a lot of people out there looking for help that don't have help. So if this helps somebody, that's what matters to me. If there's anybody out there watching this video, in any way that, you know, I can give advice or help, you can always look me up on through email, which is sunflowerloaf@yahoo.com. Okay, I wish all you guys the best, and good luck.